Hello, I'm the Geno critic. I played Kingsfield, so you don't have to. Alright, let's be honest here. From the perspective of someone who's never played the game before, this looks dreadful. The walk speed is atrocious, you have to make an appointment just to swing your sword, and if you want to turn around, that'll be 3 to 5 business days. Before playing this game, I checked out some gameplay vids online and thought, wow, this looks rough. I was certain there was no way I was going to enjoy this game, but I was compelled to check it out for myself. Most people interested in Kingsfield are so because they played Elden Ring or Dark Souls and they're curious about From Software's earlier entries. Well, I've never played a single FromSoft game before, this is my first. I'm not clouding my judgment in this review due to some loyalty or love towards FromSoft. Nothing I say in this video can truly capture the feeling of the direct experience of playing this game. Anyone who wants to nitpick its design or call it outdated won't tell you this because they can't understand games on a deeper level beyond the surface level. Kingsfield is a work of art. This game certainly isn't for everyone. You're either going to play this game for 30 minutes, put it down, and write it off as an outdated game from before FromSoft got good, or you're going to stick it out until the end and absolutely fall in love with this game. If you're really not able to look past the movement speed or combat and don't want to continue, don't force yourself to keep playing in hopes you'll magically fall in love with the game after the credits roll. If you're not enjoying it, it's just not for you. And Kingsfield certainly is not for everyone. However, what I felt as I started playing this game, at first, it was rough. The walk speed wasn't necessarily bad, but the combat and turning around was making the game really hard to enjoy. However, there was something that compelled me to keep playing. The vibes of this game, that feeling of suspense around every corner as you explore, the threat of death was always lurking beyond the shadowy distance. The daunting feeling from that music, even the monsters crying out in pain adds to that atmosphere. Even if you're not enjoying the game very much, you have to admit the vibes are there. The movement speed is fine enough. I think it's actually a pretty fair pace for walking around and exploring the dark caverns for the first time. It's not like the layout is massive and open-ended, each floor is pretty densely packed and laid out in a pretty intuitive manner. The speed you swing your sword is pretty slow, but honestly it's balanced around the enemies pretty well, and a very neat feature is how each weapon has a different swing speed to balance these items in a very interesting and engaging way. Turning around in place does feel incredibly slow, but if you turn and strafe at the same time, it's honestly the perfect speed for turning corners. I assume there's a reason for it being designed this way. I mean, these guys at FromSoft were making their first game, but it's not like they didn't know what they were doing. This design is very intentional and delivers a very unique experience. They weren't going for a super heavy action game where you run through a dungeon quickly, hacking and slashing through monsters, dodge rolling past every threat, and parrying everything in your way. They were going for a slow-paced, exploration-heavy experience, and it offers that quite well. You might be wondering, why isn't there a run button to help mitigate backtracking? But even that mechanic alone would completely change the feel of the game and change the way combat would have to be balanced. If you have more tricks up your sleeves, well, the enemies need tricks to counter you. This game is intended to be brutally difficult. The balance is intentional. The vibes from Kingsfield are one thing you're going to notice right off the bat. You may be struggling with the combat or the movement, but the vibes are certainly there. This game feels a bit like Dragon Quest. You're on a quest of your own, no party to back you up, as you explore the dark dungeon with that first-person perspective, fighting large scorpions, skeletons, golems, and yes, like Dragon Quest, the game is very simple, but it nails the fundamentals. Throughout the game, the vibes and exploration are always intriguing. The combat is always difficult but consistent and engaging. The progression of power scaling and the balancing of difficulty is always consistent, and that rewarding feeling of any and every upgrade is substantial every single time. The devs made no mistakes when designing this game. It's not perfect, but every last bit of it was intentional and well thought out. The question I'm seeing all these other Kingsfield videos attempt to answer is, was it good? I don't know. Was Homer's Odyssey any good? Or is it good? Was Star Wars good? Or is it good? It's not like any of these works of art don't exist today for you to experience yourself. They don't solely exist in the memories of a bygone era. You can experience these works of art today and have your own personal connection and experience with them. And especially with Kingsfield, if you're going to pretend you can only engage with this game through the lens of its historical context and say, for its time, or was it good? Well, Kingsfield was a Japanese exclusive, so really, you need to be asking, Oishikata desu ka? Or perhaps we can just engage with the direct experience of the game itself instead of drowning our judgment in a sea of trivia and fun factoids. The fact this game came out in 1994, or was the first 3D action RPG, or is made by the same company that made Dark Souls, has no bearing on how the game is itself. So the real question I'll be answering with this video, is Kingsfield good? The game has you crawling through the 5 floors of this dungeon. It's very slow paced and exploration heavy. The combat certainly isn't fast and snappy by any means. You'll find yourself doing your best to weave in and out or around enemy attack to land a hit while trying to maneuver around enemies to not take damage. It is very engaging, but I can understand why, especially at first, many people would put this game down. When you start the game, you don't do much damage, and the starting sword, the short sword, has no range, so it feels like you have to be kissing these monsters just to land a hit. This game starts off pretty brutal. You're going to die a lot to enemies. You're going to find secret rooms with tough encounters or fall into traps and have to start the game over from the start. And exploring this dungeon is going to feel overwhelming, but every upgrade you get, whether it be a level up or new equipment or just progress in the exploration and quests, is always very substantial. It might take a couple hits to kill an enemy at first, but after you get a level up or a new weapon, you'll notice the same enemy dies way faster, or it'll even do less damage to you. On top of XP level ups, which boost all your stats, you also can get attack and magic attack increases by using attacks associated with those stats. Every time you deal damage with a melee weapon, it ticks you closer to leveling up that stat. The same goes with magic. It's kind of like Final Fantasy II's stat system. Use magic enough times, your magic will increase, and you'll deal more magic damage. You don't naturally regen mana, so use your magic wisely. A good healthy blend of the two will do great to help taking down bigger threats. You also have a power meter, which functions as a stamina bar. After you swing your weapon, the power meter has to refill. If it's not full, you're going to deal out a weaker strike than if it were fully charged. Also, different weapons have faster or slower recharge cycles. So not only do you have to manage maneuvering around enemy attacks as well as spacing to ensure your hit lands, you also have to time your swings just right to land the best hit. The first half hour of the game will be the most difficult. Before you get any upgrades in weapon or armor, before you get any level ups, and before you can get stocked up on healing herbs, you're gonna die often, and this is when a majority of people are gonna put this game down. Fuck this fucking game! Fuck this fucking game! The exploration in this game is honestly one of its best factors. You start off a floor feeling lost, but as you explore through the caverns and tunnels, as you become familiar and conquer each floor, it is a very rewarding feeling. After exploring the first floor for about an hour, you get a good sense of the layout. You've found some secrets, you've gotten enough stat increases, some new gear to make you feel a good sense of progression. The power scaling in every floor is amazing. You start off feeling overwhelmed and underpowered, but by the end, you feel like you've truly conquered the level. If you feel like exploring on your own, or even better on replays, wanting to find secrets you missed out on for your first playthrough, there are maps online that are beautifully drawn. These can help you find your way around, and it's fine if you crutch on them a little, but you will be missing out on the game's intended experience. You're meant to feel lost. You're meant to explore these pathways on your own. You're meant to discover the secrets on your own. It's not rewarding to find them thanks to an online guide. It's not like this game is an unsolvable mystery on its own. You do get 2 maps in the game to help you out, and they leave plenty of areas unmarked for you to explore for yourself. This is very intentional design. A lot of the enemies on the first floor are natural creatures, such as the giant enemy spiders, vipers which have a really goofy design, and these overgrown scorpions. Man, I'd hate to get pricked by that thing. There's also the undead enemy types. Mummies and skeleton soldiers make up some of the more threatening foes on the first floor, but also the Reapers. These are tree monsters, and upon death, they can drop weapons. Now these could be weapons lodged into their wooden armored bodies from past soldiers that they've slain, or perhaps these are the souls of dead soldiers themselves, corrupted by evil present in this crypt. They've been reanimated as demonic trees, and upon their defeat, their spirit is freed, and all that remains is their previous battle armor. Nice environmental storytelling, FromSoft. In the first floor, you'll find 2 shopkeepers. The first one has plenty of healing items you'll want to stock up on. A lot of the weapons and armor here you can find in chests later on, but if you have some spare gold, you can always use an early upgrade. As you explore the first floor, you'll find dead soldiers or pile of bones on the ground. One of these is the dead Dragon Scholar. Near him is etched on the wall a plea for someone to return this golden chalice to its proper resting grounds. After doing so, you'll open a chamber housing the mystical fountain. Drinking from it will give you a complete restoration of mana and health. Being able to access this is a game changer. Now you have free heals, and this is the only way in early game to replenish mana. I feel like when I finally got to this point was when the game really started getting good for me. This is my first of many aha moments with this game, and yes, there will be plenty. Now you can reliably crutch on mana to stunlock enemies in between swings, and you should be pretty decent at the movement by now, so the combat actually starts to become good fun. As we continue to explore, we'll find the priest who asks us to retrieve his stolen cross for him. It was stolen by the second shopkeeper in the game, also on the first floor. Some of his items sell for cheaper since, well, they're all stolen goods. He also has more rare items, better equipment, more healing items, but what we need now is the cross. If you don't have enough money for it by now, you should be close, especially after selling any gemstones you found while treasure hunting. If even by then you don't have enough gold, you should be pretty close. You never really have to do any grinding in this game for money or stats. That is until very late game there is some optional grinding you might want to do. More on that later. For now, we can easily afford to buy the stolen goods and return it to its rightful owner. The priest in exchange hands us the deceased's key. Garnished with occult markings, it gives us access to shortcuts by unlocking doors and allows us to progress further through the dungeon. There's also a second key you can find, the Light family key, which can be used to unlock many of the chests as well as a secret on the first floor. Exploring through the caves, we run into a man digging holes searching for artifacts. He tells us his son has a map, but ran off further into the cave in search of treasure. Oh, you want us to help you find your lost son? No problem, mister. Geno and John are on the double. Ooh, I don't want to have to tell him. After making our way through the perilous first floor, we make our way to a switch which turns off a booby trap that was preventing us from spelunking down to the second floor. With the way down now safe, we make our way to the next floor of the dungeon. But first, remember that skeleton from the beginning that fucked my ass up before I could even get good at the controls? Well, I'm a lot better at the movement now, and I'm all geared up, I got some good levels in. Yeah, now it's time to head back and fuck his ass up to return the favor. Yeah, bitch, how do you like that, huh? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Rest in piss, you filthy creature. Now, let's move on to the next floor. The second floor is much more cold and cryptic. The walls often blue, more traps and secrets bar our way forward, and new enemies appear like these blue phantoms and clay golems. The skeletons down here I think are stronger than the ones before, and now we have upgraded versions to the man-eaters, the taller and more aggressive head-eaters. Also, the Reapers are more aggressive on this floor and are more willing to walk towards you, I think. This just further shows the game was designed with great variety and difficulty progression in mind. One of the tasks of this floor is to acquire the Earth Seal and later on the Water Seal. But before heading to the latter, first I enter the Treasury Room, where we encounter yet another new enemy type, the Lizard Man. These are the most threatening enemies so far. Reptilian soldiers equipped with short blades, but they also harness the dark arts of the Inferno. These bastards will launch devastating fireballs your way that can be hard to dodge. If your spacing is right, however, they tend to opt for melee combat instead, so your best bet is to close the distance on them as quickly as you can, dancing back and forth as you juggle sword strikes and holy magic to fell these foul beasts. After clearing the room, we're free to plunder every chest. One will grant us the key item, the Mirror of Truth. This item is interesting because you can go around and use it to learn the lore behind certain NPCs. It is neat, but you can also trade it to a wise sage in exchange for water elemental magic. This magic can be used to heal you. Now, it's not the best trade-off. First of all, your mana is better used offensively. Also, you can easily stock up on plenty of healing items like medicinal herbs in this game. You can make the trade-off if you want to. If you do, you can find a second Mirror of Truth later on in the game. It is pretty well hidden, but it's up to you if you want to make the trade or not. It's not the most consequential thing in the game. Before entering the corridor he's at the end of, the entryway has a message carved into the wall warning the player. He who knows not the truth must not enter. I found this before finding the mirror, not knowing what it was referring to by saying the truth. But I did know this was a warning that I should come back later. This game is incredibly good at guiding the player just enough, and the layout of each floor is honestly perfect. The way the player is guided but not handheld through this game is incredible. I think Kingsfield is the most immersive game I've ever played. No other game translates the character's in-game experience to the player as naturally and as seamlessly as Kingsfield does. When John Forrester is lost, the player is lost. When John gets stronger and more competent, the player gets more proficient and confident. That leads to the game constantly getting one aha moment after the other. As I said earlier, about an hour into this game I was thinking, okay, this is when the game starts getting good. But then again, when I got to the second floor, once more I'm thinking to myself, okay, no, this is when the game really starts getting good. I felt that same thing again on the third floor, again on the fourth floor, once more on the fifth floor, until I beat this game and was just taken aback. Have you ever had one of those Kermit games? You know, the kind of game where after you finish playing it, you just have to take a day or two to just think about it, absorb it, let it soak in. That's Kingsfield. Behind some of the locked doors, we can get the dungeon key, which gives us access to the western corridors of this map. The main thing worth getting here is the green dragon rod from the fairy Maria, which you can use to teleport back to the entrance of whichever floor you're on. This can be a very useful item, but it's not necessary. Other than obtaining the 2 seals on this floor, the only other mandatory task is to trek through the western chambers down the central lateral hall. There are plenty of trinkets and valuable gems to find here, but be careful to not fall off one of the many pitfalls. In a couple of chests you can find green gems called Verdite, which grants a permanent boost to your magic stat. In the back of the cavern's tunnels you can find an ill elven man who offers to trade you his harp in exchange for a dragon fruit. These are rare items that when used grant the player a full heal of health and mana. You can find a couple on this floor for free, but if you haven't found any yet, or maybe if you used them all, you can buy them from either shop on the first floor. After receiving the harp, you can use that to summon bridges to cross gaps, giving you access to areas you couldn't cross before, one being the portal down to the third floor. This is a really cool item. It's like when you find the Zelda dungeon item. I wish there were more areas you could use this in to find secrets. Most or maybe even every single one of them is on the second floor. One thing you'll find as you explore the floors in this dungeon are these mysterious sealed chambers with a dragon symbol on the locked doors. We can't enter them for now, but they are very mystical and we'll have to come back later in hopes of discovering what's inside. For now, we'll just have to keep moving. The third floor is about the same size as the first two, but it feels like you zoom through it pretty quickly because it's paced very well. Off the bat, we're introduced to some new monsters. First are the living statues. The spirits of dead soldiers, or perhaps it's the evil essence that lurked within these halls, possesses these statues and turns their marble blades and scorching fireballs our way. The main task of this floor is to find the second 2 seals, the fire seal and the wind seal. While searching, this floor is where you start to find some real goodies. First I found the triple fang. This 3-pronged sword offers a powerful strike with a quick recharge, but most notably it grants you passive regeneration. Over time, just by holding this blade, your health and mana will regen. So now we won't need to make a bunch of trips back to the first floor just to refill our mana. In the western chambers of this floor is where we'll find the fire seal, and nearby is the spirit of the deceased king Randolph VIII. The king who ruled before the sanctuary was taken over by the evil clan who rules Verdite today. He offers us a new spell to help us in our quest to end this evil reign of terror while we search for our father. This new spell is the same fireball spell that other foes have utilized against us throughout the dungeon. My headcanon is that the lizardmen and the living statues were the men who served under King Randolph VIII, who stayed by his side in his resting grounds, and now they've been turned into monsters by the dark essence that looms in the air, and that's why they have access to his magic. The game doesn't say any of this stuff to you, and hey, it's probably wrong, I don't know, but that's just what I get from playing this game. It's fun to speculate on this kind of stuff, and you can tell that there was a lot of attention to detail and care and thought put into this game, so it's just kind of fun to do. The southern chambers are where we encounter the stone faces, which are set traps to prevent the weak-hearted from obtaining the wind seal. Also down here are some goodies such as the blood mask, which is a piece of armor that offers a great boost to your defensive stats at the cost that it drains your health passively. Holding the triple fang does not nullify this curse, which was a pretty neat little touch. The triple fang is already good enough. If it also had the extra utilization of nullifying curses, it would just make it too good. Another treasure you find down here is the wind bracelet, which when wearing gives you the ability to learn a new spell. However, to get it, you'll have to face off against a room full of these new blue demon foes. They're like these gargoyle statues brought to life that will throw blades of wind your way, slicing you to pieces. If you're not well equipped, one of these guys will make quick work of you, let alone 4. The new spell you unlock is the Wind Blade move that the blue demons were using on you. What's cool about it is that it'll go through enemies, so if you line up your shots well enough, you can hurt multiple foes with one single cast. After obtaining the 3 seals, it's time to put them in their pedestals and unlock the rest of the dungeon floor. Before moving on to the next floor, I want to explore the King's Chambers. Here is where a lot of good treasure is stashed, and there are plenty of secret doors to discover where you can find good armor upgrades, dragon fruit, blood rubies, and one of the better weapons in the game, the Kalishimard. This sucker has a really quick strike animation as opposed to everything else in the game, and the power meter recharges pretty quickly too. If you didn't find the triple fang, this is a must find. Now it's time to make our way to the next floor, and on the way we find another dragon fruit and a purified chamber that grants the player a full heal every time they enter it. You don't need to run all the way to the first floor's dragon fountain anymore for a free heal. The 4th floor starts off with you getting surrounded by golems. Yeah, as we enter the 3rd act of the game, this dungeon wants us to know that he is not fucking around. The red rocky walls let us know we're getting pretty deep down into the dirt. Early on, we meet the spirit of the Dark Magician. He congratulates us on making it this far before warning us that we will not be making it any further. As we make our way through the eastern side of this floor, we find death pits preventing us from treasure lurking on the other side. Progressing forward, we find stone golems, which are just more tanky variants to the clay golems we've been facing thus far. One of them will drop us the Great Helm, which is the best helmet we can get our hands on for now. The fact that there's only a handful of different armor sets and a good variety of weapons, yet not too many, honestly, I like it a lot. Kingsfield feeling simple yet intricate adds a lot to the overall quality of the game. That is what makes this game so unique. It feels like a true work of art, a true passion project, with very thought out design. As we continue to search, we find Virgil on the ground taking his final breaths. This was the soldier who served as the aide to Commander Forrester, the player's father. His last words to us are, "The Commander, Dark Magician, struck each other at the same time. He told me to take his sword. Think I can't make it. Left it at the grave. Dragon's sword power. Magic power of sword. Continue technique." Virgil then takes his final breath and dies before us. We must find our father's resting grounds and press on to fight in both of their honor. We must rid this temple of all evil and bring honor to the Forrester name. By this point in the game, you should have pretty respectable stats. If not, you're certainly getting there. If you have 60 strength and 60 magic, you can utilize the sword arts some weapons offer. The Kalishimard pairs with the Light Needle for this rapid-fire Gatling light attack. The sword art attacks are never explained to you, but you'll naturally find them just by accidentally spamming the magic button too soon, or maybe by word of mouth. The timing on these arts is to cast magic right when the blade is in front of you. The other sword that offers these spells are the Flame Sword paired with the Fireball spell, which casts forth a volley of multiple fireballs. You need to swing your sword with full power, or else the skill won't work. It's very satisfying when you get the timing down on this skill, and I love how it gives me a reason to switch back to other swords I quit using after I got the Triple Fang. As I continue to explore these halls of the 4th floor, I find another sword, the Shadow Blade, which does have good stats, but it's cursed, inflicting permanent darkness. The walls are etched with warnings. The Dark Magician's true form is that of a diseased monster, warning us of what's to come. Next, we encounter the new gold golems, which throw massive boulders at the player and aggro from a distance. These guys can be a huge threat, showing that even in the late game, the devs knew the perfect way to crank that difficulty up just a little bit more. Behind these new foes, we find the Magician's Key, which grants us access forward, but also allows us to unlock a lot of the treasure chests we weren't able to access through the prior 3 floors. And in another nearby chest, we get the Feather Boots. These are basically this game's hover boots, which allow the player to walk over small death pits, giving us even more reason to backtrack for treasure we missed out on before. Eventually, we make our way to a very ornamented grave, adorned with healing herbs. A lot of people think these are to represent flowers placed by Virgil in honor of the player's dead father, but perhaps these are naturally sprouted. If the creatures we've been facing through every floor in this crypt were brought to life through the corruption of evil, then perhaps the peacefully resting Commander Forrester is so full of pure heroic courage that his remains alone are purifying the corrupt sediment he's placed in, causing medicinal herbs to grow in abundance. That's my interpretation, at least. The sword that's placed on his resting grounds is the Dragon Sword, which is the Forrester family heirloom passed down through generations. This sword sucks. Sorry, Pops, but this thing's trash. I'm taking it to old Gil and seeing what it's worth. What do you do for this hunk of junk, Gil? Only 30 gold? Yeah. Can't blame you there. Next up is the Dark Magician's Chambers. Here we have 2 gold golems to destroy before quickly defeating the Dark Magician himself. Well, that boss was pretty easy. Oh, fuck! Oh, that was actually pretty easy too. Now that the 4th floor is finished, now is the perfect time to backtrack and collect any treasure you missed out on before, since we have the hover boots and the Magician's Key. The 2 portals forward are to the 5th floor, or back to the 1st for easy backtracking. This game's level layout was designed very well. They knew what they were doing. If you choose to backtrack for treasure, you can find the best accessory in the game, the Twin Dragon Ring. This gives you plus 8 stat boosts to your magic stat. Yeah, we're fucking up some monsters now. Die, fuck you, die, fuck you. Moving on to the 5th and final floor, right off the bat we're ambushed by a couple of jumping jacks. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. More of these demon bones, and now red demons. I love how as you progress through the floors of this dungeon, the enemies get more demonic. My fireball spell upgraded into this new firewall spell. It's pretty badass, and I can actually cast it right in front of me or target an enemy with it. That is really, really cool. The 5th floor is pretty short, but densely packed with tough monsters. Sometimes a little too densely packed that it causes some engine lag. After getting through all these encounters, I get my stats up to 80 strength and 80 magic. This is the only time in the game that you might need to do some grinding to get these stats. Now, I can use the Triple Fang sword arts, which shoot out holy missiles that explode and destroy everything nearby. This thing fucking owns. After clearing the floor as best I can, we find another sealed dragon chamber. Inside, we find the Dragon of the Forest. I like to think that this is just the spirit of the ancient hero that's being manifested in the form of a dragon. But in the actual ancient times, it was probably just some guy with a sword. Greetings, heroes. You've come a long way and proved yourselves worthy in the eyes of the great dragon of the forest. Please present to me the sword passed down from your father, and I will restore it to its true glory, the Moonlight Greatsword. You what? You sold it. Gil, my man. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, cool. Please tell me you still got that sword, bro. Please. I really fucking need it back, bro. Please. After bringing the dragon sword to Maria, she restores it to its true form, the Moonlight Sword. This is the ultimate weapon in the game, and with this, we can now enter the sealed dragon chambers throughout the first 3 floors, each housing a different mystical artifact granted to us by the Dragon of the Forest. The first floor gives us the Mist Crown, the best defensive headgear in the game with regenerative capabilities, which pairs nicely with the Moonlight Sword's mana regen powers. The second floor gives us the Wind Guard, an incredible shield with resistance to flame magic, and the third floor gives us the Forest Armor set to complete our endgame defensive gear. Now that we're fully geared up, it's time to go and face the final boss of the game. Inside the Chamber of Chaos, we face off against Black Devils, but they're no match for the power of white magic. We find Reinhardt II at last, the king we've been intending to defeat the entire journey and bring peace to Verdite, to bring honor to the Forester name, and to cleanse this sanctuary from the evil that haunts these hallowed grounds. However, the king is solid stone. He's been petrified before we even arrive. Venturing further into the dark void of these chambers of chaos, we find the game's final boss. Here, we encounter the monstrous 4-armed tree creature, Reinhardt III.
I never expected the sword was the magical artifact. If you came to defeat my father, you missed your chance. He's the one who's stone over there. I will spare you if you leave the sword. If you don't want to, I'll be happy to send you to the grave with your father. Then I will use you as my servant sometime.
My father fought with honor and courage, and a man with a Forester name shall never bend to evil. Prepare yourself, foul creature, for you are no match for my ultra-divine blinding light! After defeating Reinhardt III, for once, a calmness rushes over you, as the chaotic music that echoed through the halls of this crypt are now hushed. With evil defeated, a chilling quiet washes over you as you slowly traipse your way back to the portal. We leave the dungeon as the sun sets, having found our father, honoring him by slaying the evil he died fighting against. What a heroic tale. As I said at the beginning, if you put this game down in the first 30 minutes, you'd hate this game and perhaps it's not for you. But if you feel compelled to keep playing, along the way, you'll start to get it. You'll see this game was crafted by people who knew what they were doing. People that truly cared. This wasn't some slop thought up in a boardroom meeting that's been focus group tested to ensure profitability. No. This game is a work of art, crafted by passionate developers, handcrafted to offer one of the most unique and also one of the most immersive games I've ever played. After beating Kingsfield the first time, I knew it was amazing. But then after my second playthrough, I've only grown to love it even more. The fact this game is so short and replayable only makes it better. There's no filler in this game. Only the purest of gameplay and intelligent design. I'm looking forward to playing every FromSoft game now, and I'm glad my journey started here with Kingsfield 1. If you want to see me explore more retro games for the first time, defend classic design, and debunk contemporary critiques, please like and subscribe. Hype the video if you're on the mobile app. By the way, if you are, you can actually hype the video 3 times if you have enough points to do so. It would help a lot. And of course, thanks for watching. I'm not sure what game I'm going to do next. I'm trying to stick to the mid-90s era, PC, PS1, N64, Saturn, that early 3D era, you know, like 94 to 96 kind of stuff, before I get around to later entries in this generation. But whatever it is, I hope you'll enjoy it. See you next time.